Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back to the Uncle Sharma channel here once again to preview a massive match upcoming in the Serie A against AS Roma. And I have a big AS Roma fan in the house with me. You must have seen Wayne here on the official Roma channel to do his Roma fan cams. You also might have seen him on the Urban Pitch doing some of the writing that he does and other things that he does. Just a all-round great guy. Thank you for coming on, Wayne, and giving us your Roma knowledge.
What's up, Sharma? Yes, I'm ready to. Let's break this down. We're in a bit of an emergency situation right now. I think Inter, for me, is the best football team in Italy right now. So it's going to be really tough. You got an emergency versus a team which is hitting full strides. There's that big storyline. I'm a little nervous, I got to admit, first thing first.
Yeah, no, it's always an interesting match, Roma, because even under Conte, it was kind of a bogey team for Inter. Fonseca had this kind of thing about not winning big matches, but against Inter, he didn't. At least didn't until the last time we played you guys. He didn't used to lose against Inter, so we are always been a tricky customer, for sure. Let me just quickly shout out a few people that are in the house right now. There's Keston Smith who's saying this is a must-win game, which I think now for Inter, with the fact that the other teams are dropping some points, as Benjamin says here, 2 points behind Napoli, 1 point behind Milan means that all the games now are kind of becoming must win for Inter, but at the same time, also for Roma, you guys don't want to lose, gap between that top four spot because the gap is starting to widen between you guys and Atalanta. You don't want to get too far away from that. You don't want to start looking down. Obviously Lazio, Juventus, all those other teams behind you are starting to catch up as well. We got Indrahari as well, talking about Juventus potentially getting relegated to Serie B, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Bokar Diop in the house as well. Yeah, we haven't won in Rome. Yeah, that's true. We haven't won for a long time. And yeah, we'll get into the predicted lineups as well. Chiesa Di Totti predicts a 4-3-2-1 formation with the Shomorodov as a striker, Emiliano in the house, Tim in the house. But yeah, Wayne, there's a few talking points as you mentioned about the coming into it, but the one main one I want to get out of the way first is obviously Jose Mourinho, um, Inter legend, treble winning coach. Still love the guy. Still one of my favorite coaches, although I do think he has declined as a coach. I think his methods over the years have gone a little bit outdated, but I have liked what I've seen up until now at Rome. I feel like he has added some new things to his game. It's not the usual terrorist football that I've seen at Roma since he's come in. Yeah, how are you feeling into going into this match, and how do you feel Mourinho's feeling going into this match?
I think he's frustrated that
Mhm.
it seems like every week for the past 2 months, the referees have been against us. Whether people want to admit it or not, they can go back and look at the footage and realize how many fouls have not gone our way. We had something like 3 or 4 referees suspended directly
Yeah,
following our matches, which is an insane statistic. We look back at the match we just lost against Bologna. It's extremely frustrating. We see that the injuries have piled on, and we start to not start, we feel like a victim, I think is the perfect word. And that just all the energies just go against us. And when you look at injuries, especially like what Daniel has had the past 2 years, it's something which has bogged Roma down because they haven't had that depth. They've always pushed Inter. I think they've made Inter a better team in that regard, in
mhm,
terms of, you think back to like 12, 13 years ago, those great duels, those were incredible years. However, Roma was there, but didn't have just enough. It was always 1 or 2 players for depth. And we see as the league has gotten stronger throughout the years, maybe this is a little bit of a receding year, but I think that's natural due to COVID, that there's still that similar issue. Yet we do have a prospective ownership. They're going to keep, hopefully, pumping money into the club until we figure out a way to make it economically efficient and sustainable. So
mhm.
there's a lot of hope there. And the key that, which I think Mourinho remembers, as well as the fans have to always keep in mind, is that this is the beginning. This is a 3-year deal. You don't hire Mourinho and say, fix everything in a day. That's not it at all. And when you look at Roma's problems with attitude, mentality, if it's injuries, if it's uh, some of the big clubs who just seem to continuously get the decisions against us,
Hmm.
It's mind-boggling, and it's extremely frustrating as a fan. But I think that the only way to overcome it is not just to keep playing your game, but to keep adding quality to the point where it becomes undeniable, where Roma
Yeah.
will undeniably win this game because they are significantly better.
Yeah.
That's to me is the only way you get past these problems, is just to keep improving and adding quality, and that takes time.
Yeah, of course, that takes time, man. And yeah, I think you're spot on about, you can't just bring in Mourinho and be the quick fix. What did you make of his comments regarding um, the Zaniolo's thing? Where he said, if he was Zaniolo, he would think about possibly leaving, the Serie A because of the thing that you mentioned about not getting the fouls. Especially with his style of play, where he's a lot of the times gets past people, is so powerful, and he doesn't get the foul. What did you make of that?
You could look at that comment and say he's trying to manipulate, and in a way it'll make the refs, it'll put them on alert, like, oh, we could lose this talent, and then maybe Mourinho's right, maybe we haven't done our job in
Hmm.
protecting him, maybe we should be giving him a little bit more slack. But I do think that Mourinho's just being honest, and he's
Yeah.
saying, look, Zaniolo is an excellent player, he's a young guy who's going to continue to develop, and the signs are pointing that one day he can become an important player in the team, or perhaps a star. And he's not getting the protection right now. And if I were him, why would I stay in a league where I'm going to keep getting hacked? Absolutely not, even like zero protection. It's the opposite. They're letting things go against him, which are obscene. So I get it.
Yeah. And what do you make of Zaniolo in general this season? Of course, like I think a lot of people expected too much from him. At the moment in the league is on 0 goals, 0 assists. Are you worried anyway, or are you confident that it's just going to take him some time?
I'm not worried. When you look at the numbers, I think back to the match against Juventus, where Roma outplayed Juve for probably 70 minutes. He was one of the catalysts in that side.
Hmm.
He forced a penalty kick, which unfortunately is not a statistic that often comes up, is how many penalties are drawn per player.
Yeah.
And I believe he had a shot or something which was called back, or he had something remarkable which wasn't allowed in that game. And then I think back to the 3 matches before Bologna from Wednesday, and he's been great. He's been awesome. He's been a great outlet in the Europa League. On my Thanksgiving, he was dominant. He was the best player on the pitch, creating. I've heard this term that he has no football IQ. It's a completely asinine comment. And you just got to look at him play. If people want to talk trash, well, you got to invest in him. And what I mean by investing is you got to give him the time of day. You got to look at him, and you got to put things into perspective. If you're going to go on Twitter and bash this player who's still only 22, then you're missing the big picture. And I have to really wonder about your qualities in being able to judge talent and footballers as well as young players, because I am a teacher and I'm also a coach, and I know how, from my point of view as well, I was a player who struggled with mentality until I was probably 17, 18, 19. And then by the term 23, 24, I feel like a full grown man. And for me, I'm able to give that perspective and to have that. And I just ask that other people realize when they're looking at Zaniolo that he's not the finished product. He has not had the past 2 years to develop a la Chiesa. So it's natural that maybe he's not going to be putting up the numbers just yet. Also, there's the other factor of getting over that hump and that fear that lives inside you after a major injury, 2 major
Hmm.
injuries, I'm sorry, to each of his ACLs. So I'm sorry if he hasn't put the world in flames just yet. However, I do think eventually it's going to come. So I'm a bit on the offensive. I'm starting to break out of my shell. I'm usually very calm and a little bit more withdrawn, but I've had it.
Hey, I like it. I like it, bro. I like it coming out of the shell, getting, passionate. Because yeah, I agree with you. I don't get it with the Zaniolo thing. Some people were even like expecting him to make the Euro squad, and I was like, bro, ACL, one is enough, but two, you give this guy a year, if anything. Like, don't call this guy for it for like a year. Just give him the time to develop and get back to playing and like getting used to it. It's like basically learning how to play again for him after these big injuries. So. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, because he usually plays quite well against Inter. Zaniolo, obviously being an ex Inter
Yeah.
youth player, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's the match where he breaks his duck for a goal or an assist. What do you
I
reckon?
hope so, because he's pissed off, and I think that when you poke the bear, and it's kind of like in the States where we have our rodeos, where the
Hmm.
guy gets on the bull's back and you start to really prod him, and that's when the bull goes crazy, and that's when the horns come out. So I'm ready to see that.
Yeah, I agree here with the Tim, kind of where players are kind of harshly judged, or at the same time can be overhyped on trending social media posts. That's and then most people probably don't even watch the games. They kind of just look at some stats, they look at maybe some highlights, and then just make their judgments based off those. As Mourinho had his press conference, by the way.
He had his. I don't believe that he's attending it. He's not going. I think he refused.
A classic Mourinho. But I saw he had some words of like, he was saying that that obviously Inter being still in his heart is going to be weird for him playing against Inter, because this is the first time we're actually facing Mourinho as a enemy for the first time. So it's going to be weird for a lot of Inter fans. I know it's away at the Olimpico, so it's not the same, but I hope he gets a good reception from the away traveling fans.
He should. I mean, he's never wronged Inter. He's only done right by them.
Yeah, no, definitely, bro. Definitely. Yeah, but speaking of Mourinho, bro, like, how do you think he's done until now? Because I was, when you came on the channel, I remember, I was telling you that I thought Fonseca was judged quite harshly. And then right now, when you look at it, he's -5, I believe, from how Fonseca's first year, and then -4 from Fonseca's last season in terms of points.
What got to me about Fonseca was his mentality and the things that he would say post or pre. He would make excuses when in football, there is no excuse. The clock begins. You have to go out and give 110%. You have to find a way to win. That's the player's job. But foremost, it is the manager's job to go out and do that. And I think that, of course, he's going to be honest, to be like, this is an emergency formation. Everyone can see that. That's no secret. However, with Mourinho, he brings, I think, a different mentality. And he's always, you could say, like, if he's always going to go for the win, that could be contradicted as well. He plays a defensive, counter-attacking game. But when he needs to, he will put the pedal on the gas, for sure. Fonseca, look, man, he shot at his weight. As far as the actual matches go, I'm not talking about the attitudes of the players. As far as the matches go, with that squad, I thought he was in line. Maybe a more experienced manager, like a really top 5 manager in the world, could have got a few more wins out of that, a few less embarrassing losses. However, could you really blame him? Could you say he did a bad job? I don't think so. I think he punched at his weight. But for me to get the chance to have Mourinho, someone who can come in and change the dressing room, the attitude, the expectations, especially as you come in with a new ownership with their own ideas, their own pocketbook, with how much they might want to spend or not, their own ideas of a stadium and the whole picture. I mean, at this point, then I think Mourinho is still the right man for the job. It's just the one thing that you don't get in Rome and you don't get on social media is time and patience.
Definitely, bro. It's just like a point that I wanted to make. It seems like there's a lot more positivity when it comes to this Mourinho Roma, but when you look at it on paper or like about the stats, it's like they're a little bit behind Fonseca's Roma. But at the same time, Fonseca's Roma last year just fell off a cliff at the second half of the season. It looked like he kind of lost the dressing room, especially after the whole Dzeko incident. And talking about Dzeko, we've got someone firing a little shot at you there about the Dzeko comment. He said, apparently, I don't know if he's right or not, Wayne, you can correct him. He says you didn't see Dzeko maintaining the same level. What do you got to say to Ahmad there?
I have my spacer. Let me move it here.
Oh, no worries.
I'm saying that he doesn't see Dzeko maintaining the same level. Well, I mean, the level he was at was very poor. So if you're talking about the same level, well,
did you mean it in a positive way? As in you're saying that you didn't see Dzeko being that bad still for Inter? Is that what you meant?
I think Dzeko is exceptional this season in the sense that he's an older player. You can compare him to a legend like Ibra, but that's unfair. Take it for an experienced striker. He's 37, I think, Dzeko at this point. And it's excellent. I love what Inzaghi's getting out of him. I think that he's showing like a real champion spirit there. Mm-hmm. Now, compared to last year, saying that like he couldn't maintain that, well, that's logical. What extremely few amount of strikers are able to, after the age of 33, to get
Yeah, bro,
better,
definitely.
to improve. And you look at last season at Roma with like 5 or 6 goals. It was pitiful. He gave up on a lot of matches, but sometimes you just need that motivation. You need something new. And I think that's a testament to Dzeko's character. At the end of the day, he is a champion, and he's going to try to win you a Scudetto this year. And honestly, I hope he does.
No, I appreciate that. I wasn't like, trying to fire shots at you or anything. I was just seeing
No,
if
it's
you,
cool. I'm happy to defend, or at least to explain myself. You
yeah.
can't be right 100% of the time.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. I mean, like people think that it's everyone has to be right all the time, but yeah, no, fair enough. You've explained it there. And what's the expectation? Would you say for Roma? That's a good question from Mahdi over here. What is defined as successful season for the next couple of seasons for Roma? I think he's kind of trying to say there.
I think 5th is expected, but 4th is successful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you're expecting 5th?
I want to knock Antalata off. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of the Gasperini fairy tale and champagne football. They're the hipsters.
Hey, they're not fairy tale anymore, bro. I don't like that term for them anymore. Now they're a certified like proper team now. I don't get that kind of hipster term anymore with them. They're Atalanta now. They need to be like top 4.
Yeah. That's a top 4 team. You look at a privately owned stadium, Percassi, who's an owner who knows what he's doing. It's over. Either you're a fan of Bergamo and Atalanta or you're not. It's not like, oh, yeah, I'm rooting for the little guy. That period is over. So I am really hopeful that we can edge them out. I'm not sure if it's possible because they are playing such good football. Gasperini, I really enjoy his tactics. Him as a person, I don't like because of what happened with him and Papu Gomez. However, there's no denying that his tactics are revolutionary for this league and football in general. So to me, 4th is successful. However, as time goes on and I'm seeing these agendas of some of these refereeing decisions and the injury problems and overall depth compared to Atalanta, who has a stacked bench, and I agree that they might be 2nd by January. So it becomes maybe even more of a battle against Milan, who have just lost Kjaer at this point.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely, it's interesting times in the Serie A at the moment. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if your squad is 5th expectations. I feel like your squad, as you said about the Fonseca, like I think 6th, 5th or 6th is kind of the squad. That squad's level, in my opinion. I think if he achieves 4th, that's like close to a miracle for me.
That's
like,
that's extremely high. But they'd have to be on something different. Something radically must change.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but by the way, someone asked, is Mourinho going to be on the bench against us, or is he like suspended or something?
I don't want to lie to you. I'm not sure if he's on the bench or not.
Okay.
He may have gotten his 2nd yellow against Bologna.
Yeah.
If not, his assistant's pretty decent. He actually was on the bench before this year, and he got a win, I think.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I hope he is, though, obviously, because it'll make the match take it up to the next.
If not, he'll definitely be standing up and waving to the crowd as he,
Yeah. Or doing that thing where he was doing with the headphones on. On one of the matches. Yeah. And what about in terms of team news? So, like for Inter, we have pretty much our strongest lineup. There's a few issues here and there. De Vrij is still out, so. It looks like Bastoni is going to be stepping into the middle of the 3 again with Skriniar and Di Marco at the back. The usual midfield with Barella coming back after his rest. Dumfries on the right, which is probably the weak point of the team at the moment, as a few people pointed out in the comments. That's probably, if you're Mourinho, if you're Roma, that's probably the area you're looking at to try to exploit. And on the left-hand side, Perisic, who won November Player of the Month just today. So fair play. Shouts out to Ivan Perisic. And then up front, it looks like it's going to be the Edin Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez, the 2 gunmen. Strong team for me. That's the team I'll probably go for with the Ranocchia out. So there's no other real option at the back. What about for you guys? I've put in the predicted lineup there below, but I'll read it out to you when it comes back around. But do you have any big injury news that you want to talk about or that you're worried about?
El Shaarawy is going to be out. Pellegrini is going to be out until 2022. There's a couple. Abraham suspended. There's somebody else off the top of my head, important player that's going to be out.
No, sorry.
Pellegrini.
Pellegrini's out, and then Karsdorp is out as well, isn't he?
Yes, Karsdorp is out with the yellow, with the suspension for the accumulation.
Yeah, that was a silly one from him.
That's a big loss.
Yeah.
We're going to see Ibanez step in there at right back, which is super emergency at that point. Vigna's back,
so
which is good for
team
us.
is coming back around. So Ibanez, Mancini, Smalling, Vigna, Veretout, Cristante, Perez, Zaniolo, Mkhitaryan, Eldo, Shomurodov.
Yeah, it's about right in a 4-2-3-1. It looks good to me. Expect Mkhitaryan to pinch in towards the middle and push Zaniolo out more to the wing there. And Perez is a bit of a wild card as well. I like that he gets in between the lines. He's a really good dribbler. He's smart. He's not going to play the big ball, but short passes to increase and start to take up some yards against the opposition is kind of his game. Once in a while, he'll have a really nice dribble. However, statistically, he hasn't really panned out in his 3 seasons with Roma.
Yeah, he's a bit of a up and down player. And yeah, someone asked, so no Brian Reynolds as the right back, not Ryan Reynolds.
Expect Reynolds to go somewhere in January.
He needs that experience, doesn't he? Yeah, and then Vigna returning to left back. So has Vigna not, because I know El Shaarawy was playing as a left wing back. So was that out of choice, or was that because Vigna was injured?
Vigna was injured, and thankfully we saw him against Bologna. He made an excellent pass that Zaniolo almost got on the end of. So having him back, and then hopefully Zaniolo in a month and a half will be quite the boost.
Yeah.
So it's important to remember that our best player has not played a single minute this season.
And what did you make of Diawara coming back into the team, kind of like almost from the cold? Do you have any faith in him kind of being a good option, or is that just kind of the injury issues just had to bring him in?
It's injury based. He has the right attitude and says, if the coach calls upon me, I'm ready. And he showed that. He had a quiet, simple, direct game, nothing spectacular, nothing out of the ordinary. In who did we just play? I think it was Genoa that we beat, and he played in that, and he was fine. He was okay. And I think that you need a player like that. I don't know if for what he's being paid that you just want a player who can hang out and put in a game every 5 matches. So I could foresee him probably moving on in January. But he's filled the role, so I'm happy about that. But to answer your question, that's emergency based.
Yeah, definitely. What was with the star boy Afina Jan? He's out with COVID, right?
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cristante is back though from COVID. Him and Girard.
Ah, okay. Do you think Afina Jan would have been an option? Do you think starting or no?
I wonder. I could have seen him come as a sub again, maybe in the 60th minute. Tough to say. I think it would depend on Mkhitaryan's fitness and how he was looking throughout the week, because he played for Armenia, where I think he had a goal, and he's played so much this season out on the wing, so he's been using a lot more juice than he typically has when he plays centrally. So I would have wanted to see that. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that if Mourinho would have went with Felix instead.
Yeah. So Eldo, Shomurodov. Eldo is your only striker at the moment available.
Yeah. It's our only guy. Borja Mayoral is somewhere out there. He's hanging out. He's probably on vacation. That guy's always on vacation with his girl.
Wow. Yeah. He's another one that's not quite worked out, has it?
He was really good last season, but for some reason, Mourinho just didn't take to him. But that guy's got goals in him. If he went to somewhere like Fiorentina after Vlahovic leaves, that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, he had a good spell under Fonseca. I remember he had a really good goal scoring ratio.
Yeah, he worked hard too.
Yeah, but as Future Hendrix says, just because of all your kind of suspensions and your injuries, this is probably the most confident I've ever been going in a match against Roma, to be honest, just because it's going to be a lot of makeshift or kind of not really your first choice. And then you're also coming from a defeat against Bologna, which kind of surprised me. So
Yeah,
I
me
mean that
too.
also could be kind of a catalyst to Mourinho kick some ass in the dressing room and make sure you get the result here. But how are you looking in terms of prediction? Because I'm feeling quite confident for this one. I'm feeling an Inter win to me.
I'm hoping 1-1 draw. Hoping, but I don't like it. I don't like the odds at this point.
Do you think it's going to be high scoring, or do you think Mourinho is going to kind of because
Nah.
against Torino again, you guys are really shut up against Torino. I was surprised because that you guys, I think Torino ended up having like what 69-70% possession or something crazy like that.
Yes, I'm not forecasting a lot of goals in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking 1-1.
Yeah, I think yeah, we can talk about this at the end if you want the targets for January. But yeah, I think Uncle Mourinho is probably gonna make sure you guys are a little bit more solid. Although this team just doesn't strike me to be like, I don't think you guys can be that kind of typical Mourinho team where it just kind of sits back deep and kind of just gets the result. I feel like you guys, the way that you guys are, you do need to be like attacking and taking the game to the other team. What do you think? Do you think that this team can like shut up shop?
I'm trying just to think of the guys at hand.
Like if you go, let's say you go 1-0 up, which hopefully you don't. But do you think this team can hold on to a 1-0 lead?
I don't think we have the defensive midfielder in order to do that. I don't think there's the layer of protection, the insulation that you need in order to get away with doing that. And if you go up 1-0, let's say in the 55th minute.
Yeah.
With this squad, you can't just sit back and let Inter kind of start to pick passes and run lines. It's not going to work if you let that happen. There's too much talent. The players are too much finesse based. You have a wing back with Vigna, and I'm saying wing back, not an outside back. So he's offensive minded first. On the right side, you have somebody who's filling in, who's typically a left center back playing right back. So I don't see that you can shut up shop against this type of team. You're going to have Cristante, who's a natural attacking midfielder who plays as a pivot, a mediano, and probably Veretout, who's more of a true center midfielder, not a protector in front of the back line. So I wouldn't try to close up shop. I don't think that's the way. It's got to be some type of possession based or counter, but still look to move the ball up the flanks.
Yeah, and of course, with Inter, we've got the Barella coming back after injury. So my prediction is that Nico Barella gets a goal. I'm going for a 2-1 victory for Inter, as you said. I don't think it's going to be particularly high scoring. I think Barella and then Edin Dzeko with the goal of the X, goal del X, I think from Edin Dzeko.
Goal del X.
Yeah. What about you? You said 1-1, right?
Zaniolo 1 and Dzeko 1.
Yeah. How do you think Dzeko's going to be received? Booze or cheers?
Booze. He's going to get booze. He ain't getting no standing ovation. He's not going to get it. Not at Rome.
Yeah, definitely not after that last year that he had at Rome.
Nah.
I think if he left before last season, I think he would have been definitely received better, right?
Yeah, for sure. But the fact that he made 10 million euros per season and he packed it in and moped around the field, that don't sit well.
Yeah.
Not in Rome.
Not in Rome, yeah, definitely. But where do you think kind of all time though? Would you put him in like would you rank him highly in terms of? I mean, he's there in terms of goal scoring, but would you rank him highly, Dzeko, in terms of your all time Roma strikers list?
Yes, I would. He's not my type of striker. I like fast players, acrobatic, shifty as well. And he's not my mold, but when it comes to the numbers and the fact that he got us some pretty big games, some pretty big seasons, no real titles, nothing like that. He's up there. Is he one of the best? No. There's guys throughout history. Roma has a rich history of strikers. However, he's up there. He's a legend. He's someone who will be remembered for his contributions. Maybe not accomplishments, but contributions.
Yeah. Did you put him up there with Montella?
No.
Wow.
No. He's not in a He's not in the same galaxy as Batistuta for what he
Oh,
did for Roma. Maybe
yeah, I mean,
Montella, perhaps, like as far as quality, but even Montella was a better finisher than Dzeko.
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not as confident as Tommy here. I feel like Mourinho will definitely have his team drilled for this match. I think, he's not going to get embarrassed against Inter for sure. I think, to me, that's a little bit too positive. But yeah, we'll see after the match tomorrow. In my post-match reaction, Franco says 3-1, we win it. And what did you make of the the little joke? I don't know if you caught it. It doesn't bode well for Roma.
What doesn't bode well?
The was it the Bodo Glimt? I think he's trying to go for that angle.
Oh, it doesn't bode well. Yes, very funny. Well, there is an interesting stat I wanted to bring up. For as defensive as we say Mourinho is, Roma has some of the most shots on goal in all of Europe right now.
Yeah, I think you have the most in Serie A.
Yeah. Interesting. Pellegrini is I think, protagonist of that. Unfortunately, he's out. So we're missing a lot, man. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, no, I've put some stats down below. I think you're third in the league for XG. You've got the joint third best defense in the league. And then you're underperforming your total XG by like 2.6 goals. So I think a lot of that's probably Tammy Abraham, who's kind of been unlucky a few times and also probably could have finished better. But actually, I want to speak to you quickly about Tammy before we go. Like, what do you make of him? And do you have how do you feel he's going to be in terms of Roma long term?
He's doing good. He's missed some easy chances. I think that comes along with a striker in his first season in a new country with a new language, with new players.
Yeah.
That's sometimes that millimeter which makes the difference is not always going to be there. In the second season, I expect big things out of him. In the second half of this season, I expect him to keep improving. He scored some great goals. He's hit the post out of anyone I've ever seen. I think 5 or 6 times so far. He helps the team. You know what I don't like is that sometimes he misses easy passes. On the flip side, though, he makes great runs. He distracts the opposition and makes space for his teammates all day. He has a hard shot and he can finish once he gets inside the box. So for the one probably negative aspect of his game, he's got so much positives that are worth focusing on, which could make him a great striker in Rome. And I think it's a much higher ceiling than Edin Dzeko at this club.
Yeah, no, I think in terms of ceiling there, he's got so many attributes that probably his ceiling is higher than Dzeko. But Dzeko is Dzeko. He's very underrated, I think, over the last decade or so. But yeah, Wayne, thank you very much for coming on. Is there anything you want to plug? I've left your Twitter handle down below if you want to, or you've got it up there as well. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you know what? I just want to give a shout to New York Wolf Conservation Center. I got this cool shirt from them, actually.
Okay.
So like sometimes I'll just wear, it's not Roma gear, but just like styled for.
Yeah, it looks like Roma gear. The wolf, the colors.
Yeah, it's a Mexican wolf, which is an extremely rare breed, which has been they've been overhunted. So I like a lot of stuff for animal protection. That's something I really believe in. So if you're ever interested about conservation or what's going on in North America, we've got a lot of problems with our political systems, and it's worth paying attention to. I think even if you're not American, and it shows you just how it's disappointing. But for me, it just reminds me that you got to do what you can for the people who can't speak up for themselves. And I think that is a rule which can be broadly interpreted, not just for wolves in Montana, but for everyone anywhere, especially as it comes around the holiday season.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's a very nice little shout out. Yeah, I like that. Send me the link so I can check more things about this. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, man. That was a very enjoyable chat, and of course, I'll be maybe messaging you throughout the match to if anything happens, giving you some banter, maybe you giving me some banter. We'll see how it ends up. But yeah, I'm confident about a win. Wayne went for the draw. Thank you everyone that tuned in for this match preview. Make sure you're leaving a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And thank you for tuning in. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter.